Listen closely. This isn't just another speech, and these aren't just words strung together to pass the time. This is your moment. A moment you didn't even know you were waiting for. A moment that demands more from you than you've ever given. Because here's the truth. Time isn't your friend. It's not waiting. It's not kind, and it won't slow down just because you're standing still. While you've been sitting in the rubble, staring at the pieces of yourself scattered across the floor, life has kept moving, indifferent to your pain. But you don't get to stay here, not anymore. You've been told that your story doesn't matter, that you're too broken to stand, too weak to fight, too lost to find your way back. They told you that what's been done to you defines you, that the chains they locked around your spirit were permanent, and for a while you believed them. You wore their lies like a second skin, didn't you? Their words sank into your soul, convincing you that the best you could hope for was survival, just limping through the days, praying for scraps of peace. But that ends now. Look around you. See the wreckage of your life for what it is. Not an ending, but a beginning, because every single broken piece is a lesson. Every scar is a map, and every tear is proof that you are still here, breathing, existing, fighting even when it feels like you're not. The fact that you're still standing, even with shaking legs and a heavy heart, is a declaration that you were built for more. Do you hear me? You were built for more. They don't get to define you. Not the ones who walked away when you needed them most. Not the ones who broke promises and left you in the dark. Not the ones who laughed at your dreams, doubted your strength, and underestimated your fire. They don't get to have the final say. Not unless you let them. And I know what you're thinking. I don't have the strength, I don't have the fight left in me. But let me remind you of something. Storms don't ask for permission to rage. And you, my friend, are a storm waiting to be unleashed. There's a fire inside you, even if you can't feel it right now. It's buried beneath the weight of your doubts, smothered by the ashes of everything you've lost. But it's there, burning, flickering, waiting for the moment you decide you've had enough, that you're tired of being a prisoner to your past, that you're ready to rise, not because it's easy, but because staying broken is no longer enough. The fire doesn't need permission to roar, it just needs oxygen. And I'm here to tell you that every breath you take, every single inhale, is the fuel you need to ignite it. So, what's it going to be? Will you sit in the ashes, waiting for someone to save you? Or will you realize that no one is coming, and that's the best thing that could ever happen to you? Because when no one comes, when there's no one to rely on, you're forced to rely on yourself. Your sister, and that's where the magic happens. That's where the transformation begins. That's when you realize that the power you've been searching for has been inside you all along. You've been walking a tightrope between survival and surrender, but the time for balance is over. The time for hesitation is over. You're not here to merely survive. You're here to dominate, to thrive, to rebuild something so unbreakable that the world itself will tremble in your wake. And yes, I know that sounds impossible right now. You've been carrying so much pain, so much doubt, for so long that the idea of freedom feels like a distant dream. But listen to me. It's not a dream. It's a choice. You can choose to let this pain define you, to let it keep you small, to let it whisper in your ear that you're not enough, or you can choose to let it shape you into something unrecognizable, something powerful. Do you know what happens when a sword is forged? It's pounded and hammered, heated and cooled over and over again, until it becomes sharp enough to cut through anything. That's you. That's your life. Every blow, every moment of heat and pressure is shaping you into something extraordinary, something unstoppable. But here's the thing. You have to want it. You have to decide that you're worth it. No one can do this for you. No one can pick you up, dust you off, and place you back on your feet. That's your job. And it's the most important job you'll ever have, because when you stand, when you truly rise, you don't just lift yourself. You lift everyone who ever doubted you. Everyone who ever counted you out, everyone who ever told you that you couldn't. And more importantly, you lift the version of yourself who almost gave up. So stand up, right now. Not tomorrow, not next week, now. Stand up and feel the weight of your own strength. It's been there all along, hidden beneath the lies you've been told and the lies you've told yourself. Stand up and claim your power, because no one is going to hand it to you. You have to take it. You have to fight for it. You have to own it. And when you do, when you finally rise, the world will have no choice but to take notice, because you are not just a survivor. You are not just someone who made it through the storm. You are the storm, the force they never saw coming, the unstoppable power they tried and failed to contain. And it all starts now. Are you ready? Let's be honest for a moment, brutally honest. You're not just hurt, you're shattered. There's a weight pressing on your chest, so heavy it feels like it could crush your very soul. Every step you take feels like dragging chains behind you, and every breath feels like a fight you're too exhausted to keep waging. You've told yourself you're fine. You've smiled when the world demanded it, laughed when your heart was breaking. But deep down, you've been screaming, haven't you? Screaming into a void that never answers. And the worst part, you've started to believe that this is it, that this is all there is. The pain has become familiar, hasn't it? Like an old coat you can't quite bring yourself to take off, even though it's heavy and tattered and stinks of despair. It's become your home, this pain, your constant companion. And as much as you hate it, as much as you ache to be free, there's a part of you that's terrified to let it go. Because what's left if the pain isn't there? Who are you without it? You've been carrying this weight for so long that you've forgotten what it feels like to be light. You've forgotten what it feels like to dream without the fear of disappointment, to love without the fear of loss, to stand without trembling under the weight of your doubts. The new you has no pain. Is the new you always wide awake, larger and larger and larger, and deeper and deeper? And those doubts, oh, they're relentless, aren't they? Whispering in your ear at every turn. You're not good enough. You're not strong enough. You'll never be anything more than this. And so you stay in the shadows, in the wreckage, in the pain. Because even though it's killing you, it's what you know. It's predictable in its own twisted way. You know the sharp edge of it, the dull ache of it, the way it wraps around you like a blanket made of thorns. And the idea of stepping out of it, of letting it go, is terrifying. Because stepping out means stepping into the unknown. And the unknown, that's even scarier than the pain you've grown so accustomed to. But let me ask you something. How long will you let them define your worth? How much longer will you carry the chains they placed on you? Chains of rejection, of betrayal, of fear. Chains that you didn't ask for but somehow accepted. Chains that have wrapped around your heart and your mind, squeezing the life out of you until you barely recognize yourself. How much longer will you let those chains hold you down? Do you see what's happening here? Every day you stay in this place of despair, of victimhood. You give away a piece of yourself. Every day you choose the comfort of pain over the discomfort of growth. You lose a little more of who you are. And I know that's hard to hear. I know you want to scream. I didn't choose this, and you're right. You didn't choose what happened to you. You didn't choose to be broken, to be hurt, to be left behind. But now, you have a choice. And it's the hardest choice you'll ever have to make. Because staying here in this place of despair is easier in the short term. It's easier to sit in the rubble than to start rebuilding. It's easier to cling to the pain than to face the fear of healing. It's easier to tell yourself this is just how things are than to admit that you have the power to change it. But let me tell you something about that choice. That easy choice, it's killing you. Slowly, quietly, but surely. It's stealing your joy, your hope, your life. And if you don't take action, if you don't choose to rise, you'll look back one day and realize that the life you could have had slipped through your fingers. Picture it. Picture what your life will look like if you don't take action. If you keep waiting for someone else to save you, if you keep telling yourself that tomorrow is the day you'll start, tomorrow turns into next week turns into next year, and before you know it, you're staring down the barrel of a life unlived. A life spent in chains, in shadows, in fear. Is that what you want? Is that the legacy you want to leave behind? A story of what could have been? Let me paint you a different picture. Picture the version of yourself who never took a step forward. Picture the version of yourself who let the fear win, who let the pain define them, who stayed in the rubble waiting for a rescue that never came. Picture the emptiness of that life, the weight of the regrets, the ache of all the what-ifs that will haunt you until your last breath. Can you feel it? The heaviness of it? The suffocating finality of it? But now, picture something else. Picture what happens if you decide, right here and now, that you're done being a prisoner. Picture the chains falling away, not because someone came and broke them for you, but because you decided they no longer belonged to you. Picture yourself standing, even though your legs are shaking, even though your heart is pounding, even though you're terrified. Picture yourself taking that first step, and then another, and then another. Picture the life that waits for you on the other side of this pain. Harvey, because here's the thing, staying in this place of despair, is a choice. And it's a choice that will cost you everything. Your dreams, your joy, your future. But rising, that's a choice too. And yes, it's harder. Yes, it's terrifying. Yes, it will demand more from you than you think you're capable of giving. But it's the only choice that will set you free. It's the only choice that will turn your pain into power, your scars into strength, your despair into determination. So, I'll ask you again, how long will you let them define your worth? How many more days will you spend in the shadows, convincing yourself that this is all you deserve? Because the truth is, no one else can decide for you. No one else can take that first step. It has to be you. It's always been you. And I know it's scary. I know it feels impossible, but let me remind you of something. The fact that you're still here, still breathing, still fighting, means that you are stronger than you realize. And if you can, it means that there's a fire inside you, even if it's just a flicker right now. And that fire, it's waiting for you to feed it, to fan the flames, to burn so brightly that the darkness doesn't stand a chance. So, what's it gonna be? Are you going to stay in the shadows, letting your pain define you, or are you going to rise, step into the light, and show the world, and yourself, what you're truly capable of? The choice is yours. It's always been yours. But make no mistake, the clock is ticking and your life is waiting. Are you ready to claim it? Let me tell you something they don't want you to know. Something they've been afraid of all along. Every time they hurt you, every time they dismissed you, every time they walked away, they weren't just breaking you. They were building you. They were forging you into something they could never control, never defeat, never stop. And that, my friend, is the truth they fear the most. Because pain doesn't just destroy, it transforms. And your pain? It's the fire that will ignite the extraordinary within you. Take a moment and breathe that in. You see, the story doesn't end in the ashes. That's the lie they want you to believe. They want you to see yourself as ruined, as unworthy, as something discarded. But here's what they don't understand. Ashes aren't the end of the story. They're the beginning. Because deep within those ashes lies a phoenix waiting to rise, wings ready to stretch wide and soar higher than they ever imagined. And that phoenix, that's you. Your scars. Oh, your beautiful scars. You've spent so much time trying to hide them, haven't you? Covering them up, pretending they don't exist, wishing them away. Kevin, but those scars aren't your shame. They're your strength. Every mark, every wound, every broken piece is proof that you've survived. Proof that you've faced the fire and come out the other side. They thought those scars would weaken you, but they didn't. They made you invincible. They turned your skin into armor, your heart into a fortress, your soul into a weapon. And the shattered pieces of yourself, the ones you've been holding onto with trembling hands, unsure of how to put them back together, stop trying to rebuild what was. Let it go. Those pieces aren't meant to fit the way they used to. They're meant to become something new, something breathtaking. A mosaic of resilience, of strength, of beauty born from pain. Because shattered glass doesn't lose its brilliance. It reflects the light in ways whole glass never could. And you, my friend, are about to shine. But here's the thing about transformation. It doesn't just happen. You have to choose it. You have to decide, right here and now, that you are done being the victim of your story. That you are done letting your pain define you, letting their words cage you, letting their actions dictate your worth. Because you are not their victim. You are not the person they left behind. You are not the person they underestimated. You are your own hero. The savior you've been waiting for? Look in the mirror. It's been you all along. So ask yourself, what will you do with this pain? Will you let it consume you, or will you let it fuel you? Will you let it be the end of your story, or the beginning of your greatest chapter? Because every single time they tried to break you, they underestimated you. They underestimated the fire in your soul, the strength in your spirit, the determination in your heart. They thought you were fragile, but you are not. You're a storm, a force, a wildfire. And the moment you realize that, the world will never be the same. Take a step back and look at yourself. Look at everything you've survived. The heartbreaks, the betrayals, the failures, the losses. You've walked through fire and you're still here. You've been knocked down and you've gotten back up, over and over and over again. And that right there is your power. Not that you haven't fallen, but that you've risen every single time. That no matter how many times life has tried to break you, you've refused to stay broken. But now, it's time for more. It's time to stop surviving and start living. It's time to stop reacting to life and start creating it. You are the author of your story, and it's time to pick up the pen and write something extraordinary. It's time to take control of your narrative, to decide who you are and who you're going to be. Not based on what they've told you, but based on what you know in your heart to be true. That you are strong, that you are capable, that you are worthy of everything you've ever dreamed of, and more. Repeat after me. I am not their victim. I am my own hero. My pain is my power, and my scars are my strength. I am unstoppable. Say it again, louder this time. Let those words sink into your bones, into your soul. Let them become your mantra, your truth, your battle cry. Because that's what this is, a battle. Not against them, not against the world, but against the version of yourself that doubts your power. And that battle, you're going to win. Because here's the thing about storms. They don't apologize for their strength. They don't ask for permission to rage. They don't shrink themselves to make others comfortable, and neither should you. You are a force of nature, a whirlwind of fire and light and unshakable will. And it's time to let that force out. It's time to stop playing small, to stop hiding your brilliance, to stop doubting your power. It's time to rise. And when you rise, don't just rise quietly. Rise with a roar. Rise with the kind of strength that makes the earth tremble. Rise with the kind of fire that sets the world ablaze. Let them see you. Let them feel you. Let them know that you are not just a survivor. You are a conqueror, a builder, a creator, an unstoppable force. This is your moment. This is your transformation. This is where the pain ends and the power begins. So rise, Phoenix. Spread your wings and let the world see what they tried and failed to destroy. Because they didn't break you, they built you. And now you're unstoppable. And here it is, the moment you've been waiting for. The moment everything shifts, not because the world has changed, but because you have. Not because someone else gave you permission, but because you finally gave it to yourself. Do you feel it? That pull deep in your chest? The spark that's been smoldering under the ashes of your pain? That's your power. It's been there all along, waiting for you to see it, to claim it, to unleash it. Let's stop pretending. Stop pretending that you need someone to save you. Stop pretending that you're powerless. Stop pretending that you're stuck, that this is all there is, that you're at the mercy of what's been done to you. Because the moment you stop waiting for someone to save you is the moment you start saving yourself. And that, my friend, is where everything changes. Can you see it now? Can you feel it? The strength that's been building inside you, hidden beneath the rubble of your doubt and fear. The power they tried to take from you but couldn't. The fire they thought they'd extinguished, but that only burned hotter. This is your awakening. This is the moment you realize that you are not broken. You are unbreakable. That every time they tried to bury you, they were planting a seed. And now, you're blooming into something they can't contain, can't control, can't stop. You've spent so long believing their lies, believing that you were too weak, too small, too broken to rise. But they don't get to decide that. They don't get to define you. They never did. Do you hear me? Every time they doubted you, every time they hurt you, every time they tried to make you feel less than, you survived. You're still here. You were the proof that they were wrong. And now, it's time to show them just how wrong they were. Let me ask you something. Do you see it now? Do you feel the power they tried to steal from you? The strength they underestimated? The resilience they couldn't break? Look at yourself. Really look. Look at everything you've survived, everything you've endured, everything you've overcome. You are not a victim of your story. You are the author of it, and the pen is in your hands now. This is your turning point, the moment where everything changes. The moment where you stop looking at your scars with shame and start seeing them for what they are, medals of honor. Proof that you've walked through fire and come out stronger. Proof that you have faced the darkest nights and found the courage to keep going. Proof that you are a warrior, a force, a light in the shadow. They didn't break you, they forged you. Do you understand what that means? It means that every crack, every wound, every tear has made you stronger, not weaker. It means that the fire they tried to destroy you with has become your fuel. It means that their attempts to bury you have only rooted you deeper, stronger, unshakable. And now you're rising. Not as the person you were before, but as someone they could never imagine. This is where the transformation happens. This is where you stop asking, why did this happen to me? And start asking, what am I going to do with it? This is where you take every ounce of pain, every moment of doubt, every broken piece of your past, and you use it to build something extraordinary. This is where you stop running from your story and start owning it. This is where you become the unstoppable force you were always meant to be. Do you feel it now? That fire in your soul, that strength in your spirit, that power in your heart, that's yours. It's always been yours, and it's time to let it out. It's time to stand tall, to raise your head, to look the world in the eye and say, I am here. I am unbreakable. I am unstoppable. Because here's the truth. They didn't just fail to break you. They made you. Every word of doubt, every act of betrayal, every moment of pain has been turned into your strength. Every time they thought they'd silenced you, they were giving you a reason to speak louder. Every time they thought they'd defeated you, they were giving you a reason to fight harder. And now, you're ready. This is your time to rise, to roar, to shine. Your time to take back your power and claim the life that's been waiting for you. Your time to step into your strength and show the world and yourself what you're capable of. Are you ready? No more waiting, no more doubting, no more holding back. You are not their victim. You are not their failure. You are not the person they tried to break. You are the storm they didn't see coming. You are the force they couldn't contain. You are the light that refuses to go out. And now, it's time to show the world what happens when the unbreakable rises. So stand tall, step forward, and never look back. This is your moment. This is your story. This is your power. They didn't break you, they forged you, and now you are unstoppable. This is it. This is where the journey begins, not ends. This is the moment you rise from the ashes of your pain, not as someone who barely survives, but as someone who thrives. Someone who claims their power and refuses to let it slip through their fingers again. It's time to rewrite your story, not as a tale of tragedy, but as an epic of triumph. It's time to become the unstoppable force you were always meant to be. You've heard the whispers of doubt in your mind, the echoes of the voices that tried to diminish you. They told you that you couldn't, that you wouldn't, that you'd always be less than. But now it's time to silence those voices, not with words, but with action. Because your story isn't about what they did to you, it's about what you're going to do now. So what will you do? Will you let the weight of your pain hold you down, or will you use it to propel yourself forward? Will you let your scars define you, or will you wear them like badges of honor, proof of battles fought and won? Will you let the fear of failure stop you, or will you turn that fear into fuel, into fire, into the relentless pursuit of everything you deserve? Here's how you begin. Start with self-love. Not the kind that feels easy or fleeting, but the kind that is fierce, unshakable, and unapologetic. Love yourself, not despite your flaws, but because of them. Love yourself for every scar, every tear, every broken piece that you've stitched back together with your own hands. Love yourself because you've earned it, because you've survived what would have destroyed others. Look in the mirror and see not just who you are, but who you're becoming. See the strength in your eyes, the fire in your soul, the unbreakable spirit that refuses to give up. Next, embrace resilience. Understand that setbacks are not the end, they are stepping stones. Every time you fall, you learn how to rise stronger. Every obstacle you face is a test, not of your limits, but of your limitless potential. Resilience is not about never breaking, it's about knowing how to rebuild over and over again until you create something no one can tear down. It's about showing up for yourself every single day, no matter how hard it feels, no matter how far you still have to go. And finally, pursue your dreams with relentless determination. Whatever it is you've been holding back, whatever it is you've told yourself you can't do, start now, start messy, start scared, start imperfect, but start. Because every step you take, no matter how small, brings you closer to the life you deserve. Finally, start living the life you deserve. And we'll see you guys on Friday for a season. Your dreams are not too big. Your ambitions are not too bold. They are the blueprint for the life you are meant to build. Trust yourself enough to chase them with everything you've got. Your scars are not signs of weakness. They are your story, your testament, your proof of survival. Every scar tells a story, and together they form a map that leads to the strongest, most unstoppable version of yourself. Wear them proudly, show them to the world, let them see that you are not ashamed of your pain, because it's what made you powerful. And now, here is your moment, your call to action, your turning point. The world has been waiting for you. Not the version of you that hides, that doubts, that hesitates, but the version of you that steps forward boldly and unapologetically. The version of you that knows your worth, owns your strength, and refuses to shrink for anyone. The version of you that rises above the pain, above the fear, above the limitations that others tried to impose on you. This is your time to rise. Your time to step into your power. Your time to become the unstoppable force they never saw coming. No more waiting, no more doubting, no more excuses. The life you've dreamed of is within your reach, but you have to take it, you have to fight for it, you have to claim it. So stand tall, take a deep breath, and take the first step. It doesn't matter how small it is. It doesn't matter if your legs are trembling and your heart is pounding. What matters is that you move forward. What matters is that you rise, because every step you take, no matter how shaky, is a declaration that you are not defeated, that you are not broken, that you are unstoppable. And when they see you rise, when they see the light in your eyes, the fire in your soul, the strength in your stride, they will realize the truth, that they didn't break you, they unleashed you. They unleashed a storm they could never control. And that storm, that's you. So go and live the life you've been waiting for. Go and show the world what happens when the unbreakable rise. Go and be the storm, because this is your story, your power, your moment, and nothing can stop you now. When they left you broken, they didn't realize they were creating a force that would change everything. You are that force. You are the storm, and now it's your time to rise.